back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday, and today's show is sponsored by my good friend, Traci Connell, who is sharing all kinds of news, especially her free course, The Reveal, coming up. I've always been impressed by how thoughtfully and purposefully Traci runs her interior design firm. Traci's been on the show a couple of times, and she's talked about how she has reflected, analyzed, documented, and how she's run her business, what has worked for her and what hasn't. Even more remarkable is that running her business for profit was born out of a deeply difficult personal challenge. Now, Traci has taken the lessons that she has learned a step further, and she's teaching you, her colleagues, how to duplicate her financial success. Traci is an award-winning creative entrepreneur whose business sense and design skills are combined with a passion for delivering interiors that are at the heart of livable style. Her new mission is to normalize wealth among interior designers using her 4-part pillar framework: more purpose, more precision, more profit, and more prestige, which is taught in her free masterclass, The Reveal, as well as in her year-long mentorship program, The Confidential. We've had Traci on to talk about her Luann University class that she teaches, Buy Wholesale for Profit. And if you're not familiar with this class, go to luannuniversity.com to learn more. Registration for the next semester will be opening in November 2023, and the classes will begin in winter of 2024. Her class is a game changer, especially if you have not yet mastered the buying furniture wholesale for profit chess game. Okay. If you have also not yet mastered the art of explaining to your clients, no, ma'am, no, sir, you cannot buy your furniture online when you work with me. And then especially think I'll manage it for you. So Traci teaches these things and many more in her Lu University class. But today, Traci is sharing more about the valuable offerings in her coaching platform, The Gloss, including her free course, The Reveal, which includes shortcuts to growth, including some of her best resources, insider tips, and connections she has discovered and made along the way. This free masterclass is for interior designers at any level who want to up-level their profitability. We already know Traci has conquered it all within her 25 years of interior design experience. She has propelled her business into the multi-millions. She and I have worked together in my Chairman of the Board coaching program, and we constantly focused on what she wanted to do next. Well, she figured it out, and now she is passionate about teaching you how to live a rich life. She knows that this is her mission. She knows she wants to give back to the design community and to the industry that has been so good to her. In her own words, Traci says, as women, we need to support each other because Lord knows we have enough on our plates. And isn't that the truth? I can't wait to introduce or reintroduce you to Traci Connell. Hey, Traci, thanks so much for coming back on A Well-Designed Business with me today.
Hello, Luann. I'm so happy to be here again.
I am too. And so I am also very happy to have you back on the show. I have to say, in the last couple of years, as you have developed your coaching program and the confidential and the gloss and all the things, which, we're going to have a few minutes of conversation about. And I know that people know that you're doing it, but it's so crazy because, everybody knows by now that I have an intake form. Even though you are my good friend, you have to come through the front door and do an intake form. And when I read the part of your intake form, it took me back to the year that you and I did chairman of the board together. And I have said to you
Right.
and I've said to other people that Traci did not come to me to do chairman of the board. I don't ever think, because I knew it from the day I met you, and I think you also knew it. It wasn't
Hmm.
I'm not able to, I'm not this. It was more like, I can do all of this. What do I do? It was like, you know yourself, you know your capabilities, you know your confidence. And so I have to tell you, here's what is on the intake form. My mission is to normalize wealth among interior designers using my 4-part pillar framework: more purpose, more precision, more profit, and more prestige, which is taught in the year-long mentorship program, The Confidential. Wealth means more than money. It also means
Hmm.
personal freedom and joy. And I'm going to let you talk in a second, but I just have to finish this. It's like, I feel like for a year, that's what we were running around. It's like, it was like,
Yes.
what is your next thing, Trace? Right? Like, and you're just like, I'm called to do
Yes.
something else. I need to
Oh.
focus on and find what that is. And when I read that, I was like, girl, you hit it, So happy for you. I'm so happy for you.
Oh gosh. Thank you, Lorianne. I have to say, yeah, I was in a place then where I needed clarity, and you helped me get that because, I've had this interior design firm for now almost 25 years. But you're right. There was a calling that I've had that I needed to serve another group. I've served, my clients for the longest time, but
Your
my mission
children.
is to, yes, the
Yes.
children. I mean, being a wife, the mother, single mom, the whole thing. And I thought, all right, the people I want to serve are my colleagues, my, other interior designers. And I remember you asked me, Traci, if you had $1 million, what would you do? Would you keep the firm? Would you just be a business coach for designers? And I just couldn't come up with the answer.
I
Now,
know.
I still have my interior design firm, but I've leaned into this. It's extremely clear what I am meant to do. And I truly feel that designers can be wealthy. Like, why can't this be a normal thing? And here is what I have found, that wealth doesn't necessarily mean money. It's
Right.
not about being rich, but it's having a rich life. And I don't know how I've cracked the code. Some have cracked the code. And that's what I want to teach my industry.
You haven't cracked the code, my friend. You have smashed it. Like, you have literally, like, it is. And I mean, honestly, in a year, I must have asked you that question 8 times. Literally. I was like,
I
Trace,
know.
you can do anything. This is not the problem. We just need to, and that was the thing. It was like, you were on a search, on a mission. What was the next thing? And to see this paragraph in writing, I was like, there she is. There she is, front and center. And you are doing
Yes.
it while also running your interior design firm, which was also that part of that journey and that challenge as well. It was like, am I going to walk away from that? But every time, that was what was so challenging, I think, for you, because it really was never, well, yeah, like, because a lot of designers, you meet them now. A lot of them are just like, I'm
Mhm.
over it. I'm over the clients. I'm over this whole thing. I don't want to do this
Yep.
anymore. Right. I
Yep.
don't know the next step, but you were never, I don't want this. It's like, I want this and I want that. And I want to figure out how to make it work.
That's that true visionary, right? That Enneagram 8 who,
That's
just
right.
can't stop thinking. And it's so funny because, where I see myself, in some of the designers that I'm coaching that are in my program, there are lots of shiny nickels and they just can't decide. And so where I needed such clarity, it's really great. I can really go full circle and help them develop their clarity as well in order to go to their next level. Because what they're asking me, how do I get to the next level? Like, that's the main question.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's some of the expertise that I bring, is how do they get to the next level in their journey to become whatever type of interior designer that they strive to be.
Yeah, I know. And that is your superpower, is in the business context of a design firm, you do see that chess game of the steps to the next level. I've watched you do it in your own firm. You've added multiple millions of dollars in revenue per year since I first met you several years back. And you are always strategically looking at it. And something I also have always recognized, and I say this, any successful person, they have coaches. So you've worked
Mhm.
with me, you've worked with Eileen, you work with other people, and it's like you've worked in our mastermind group. It's never,
Mhm.
hey, I've got to this point, I've probably got it figured out. It's like we all know we've got another
Right.
level to go to, right?
Right. Exactly. And that's what I find too, my program, that I landed on, which, oh my God, it is so, just, I don't know it's so wonderful to land on something and be like, okay, now this is a thing. And so when I developed the gloss, which is actually, people are like, is that lipstick or, nail polish? It's not. It is the glossary. It's a glossary of business resources for designers. But when I landed on it, it almost was born out of the sequence that I took, from being somewhere in a position to where I hardly had any revenue. I had major setbacks in my life, but how I propelled my business into the multi-millions, to the point where, again, being a single mom for a long time, you're looking out for number one. So when I get to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have financial freedom, I have personal freedom. And I hear all the designers just like, oh, I need a work-life balance. Like, I'm like, all right, I want to set the stage and build the foundation and the framework to teach them how to do it. Like, that's what I'm talking about, wealth. Like, where you can make decisions in, from a place of really abundance and not fear and scarcity.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a nice feeling. But let me tell you, it took me a while to get here. So, I like to say I shortcut this, right, with the secrets and strategies that I've learned, but on a level that I can teach it, that they can implement immediately. That's the difference. I'm a hard worker, and my students are, I mean, they do the work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 Well,
Do
I
the
mean,
work.
there's no way that I could not even fathom being in your world, your sphere, your environment, and having you teach and share the things that have worked for you and not also showing up 110%, because that's how you show up. It's the energy that you give. It's it's, eh, y- it's like you can't help but turn around and go, oh my God. So now I want to go.
Right.
Like it was so funny because I just had a coaching session with, Katie McDonald today, and she coaching me. And it's like when you're with that type of you're just like, okay, I
Mhm.
have to do it. I have to do it. Like she's counting on me. like she did it, I can do it. So
It's
I know that you
true.
bring that. Yeah, I know you
Yeah,
bring
it
that.
is.
Yeah,
It is really true. It is, and it's unbelievable. In my program, when they're graduating or they're telling me, the biggest thing is, Traci, like you gave me permission. You gave me permission to raise my rates and set my boundaries that have incurred like great leaps in their revenue. And again, their confidence. And to me, the empowerment that I see within those designers, like it's a really a reward both ways.
yeah,
It
yeah.
it really is. It's a true calling, and I'm amazed by them too.
Yeah, no, I love it. Now, I know that from our conversations, you've said to me that two keys in your success, looking back, I mean, and this is exactly what you're doing. You're like, these are the things that work for me. These are the things that didn't. So let's, change them. But that you have said often that there's the root is in creating client boundaries and then refining your contract to reflect that. And at its face value, I think that it's like, okay, do two things. But when you think about it in execution, there's a lot there. So how, like, why do you settle on those as two keys to leveling up and creating wealth and, meaning for yourself and your business?
Absolutely. We can kind of go down this path, but when I look at what desires designers have, when I ask them, what do you want from your business, your industry, your life? And they say, again, how do I get to the next level? And how do I find a work-life balance? I had to dig deep and say, what are the two most important things that I have done to allow me to have both those things? And I look back at their questions, and there is repetitively they're asking me, what do I include in my contracts? How do I set expectations? How do I stand firm on my boundaries? How do I manage? This is a good one. Manage clients' requests for revisions. How do I deal with a client shopping online and after I'm showing them options? And when I say I feel like I've cracked the code, it's because I've gotten rid of really the disease to please in this area. We hear that like a lot of designers have this disease to please, right? But when it comes to the guardrails that you set on the structure of your business, I think that me communicating this to my design community, I mean, really is the difference. So every single time something happens in my business and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to change the contract. I can't believe this is happening. Like, we've got to edit. So we always joke around that, like, seriously, we have like a part law firm in the company because we're always editing the agreement. But what I do, I have learned big lessons from this. And what I've done is now I'm educated designers. Just these little tweaks have helped me. I mean, get rid of the blurred lines. It's increased my revenue, my peace of mind. And those are some of the things that, I'd love to explore with you a little bit, just to make designers aware, of some of the traps I feel like are hiding some of in our contracts and things.
So to
You know,
that
it,
point,
yeah,
yeah. So to that point, like that one thing that you said, I mean, all of them are specific, but the one that jumped out to me was, um, how do I prevent or talk to about a client who, after I've sourced things, now wants to go and source them online? Like is it okay to be in the weeds on something like that in this conversation, Trace? Because I feel like that's how we're going to illustrate, you're not just saying, I've been through this. You've been through it and
right,
you've solved it. And your clients don't get to shop online after you've spent, you and your team, designing the most amazing space for them. So, but I know that's a
right.
legitimate question. Like, it's a free country. How do I make them not do it? Right.
Exactly, exactly. And it all starts with the communication at the beginning. So, quite a quite a bit goes into the structure of how you set up your business and the client workflow. And what I just added, I think what I want to do for your listeners too is just talk about some of the things I just added to my contract. One of them is a clause, and whether or not it's going to work, but basically it's, there is a percentage added on the items that if you go source it, then there's a percentage added to that item. And it's because we have taken the time from our firm, our expertise to actually source it. And what happens is once they realize that and they start tweaking the design, it ends up something completely different. But I have to say, the biggest change that I have found this year, it's one word. And it is where designers get buried with the amount of reselects in a project. And I think it was through one of my master classes, it like hit me on the head, because we oftentimes have in our agreements, you get two sets of revisions on a design plan. So guess what? That's what I had in my contract. And then a client said, okay, well, I want you to revise the entire bedroom and revise, another revision for the entire dining room. And I'm like, ding, ding, ding. No, 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 no. I've changed one word in my contract from revisions to reselects. A
Okay.
reselect is like one item. It's a change in
Okay.
one word. And so the
Okay.
confusion, so now I'm like, all right, that's what we definitely express. And so what's happened is you get your one reselect per room, and then the client makes a decision whether they want more. And then we've turned this flat fee then into really an hourly position to where the client chooses. And so now we're making more revenue, and it's been a game changer, really, just by
So
tweaking that one word.
So let me understand. So what we're saying is the power of the exact word.
Yeah.
And when a client hears revision, they're thinking, hey, so give me another version of the room where the fireplace is on the other side of the room. Like, right? Like it's like a big major thing where everything changes. But when you say reselect, it means if you don't love the chandelier, we'll pick a new chandelier. But where it's going and what the background is and what the thing, all the other stuff is staying. And what's interesting is I can see that being effective because it's almost like if you tell me I have two revisions, maybe I feel like that knee jerk reaction will like, well, that was a great first attempt and I love it. And if I had to take it, I would. But since I get two revisions, what's the next version? Right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's what we've run into. And
Interesting.
it started going down the rabbit hole until I switched the term. And then we took it a step further, because I feel like in our firm and other designers, they get caught in this reselection like rabbit hole, right? Where, oh my gosh, they end up picking like 10 different chandeliers or 10 different accent stools or whatever it is, because the client just can't even, there's so many. And so the designer loses track of how
Mm.
many and how long it's taken them. So now what I've implemented is after the presentation, the client goes back, they pick one item per space, and any designer can say, okay, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I want, two reselects. But then they notate what they would like reselected. Then we put it in a container. And what I mean by that is like a PowerPoint that says reselection round number one. It's all in there. So it's very clear you've already done that round. You have all the rooms, you have the reselections. Boom, it's over.
Right.
So from that point on, that flips to hourly.
It's
for
interesting.
every single, and and I always say clear is kind, because it's
Yes.
right there in the agreement. It's their choice to move on, and people love to be told what to do. And so
Yes,
it's like,
especially when they've gone
okay,
and hired an
right?
expert.
Yes. Yes, this is the way it works. We are more than happy to continue down this road at our hourly charge. And what's beautiful about this, and what I'd recommend to any design firm owner, is to empower your team. My designers have gotten so good at this, and I'm so proud of them, because they're like, okay, your reselection round is over. The next round of reselects will be our hourly fee, and I expect that to take 2 hours. It's unbelievable what I see. When I meet with our fractional CFO every month, our billable has gone up dramatically,
Mm,
and no one's upset. Client's not
right.
upset. The team doesn't feel like they're taken advantage of.
And this is
It's a
because
win-win.
it's clearly discussed at the beginning, and you're clear. It's because you're very clear as a company how you're going to do this. There's no gray area. I love what you
Yes.
said a few moments ago about no blurred lines, right? Because the blurred lines
Yeah.
don't help anybody. Have the courage to say what your terms are, what you're doing, and
Right.
especially because, like we always say on the show, if you tell me ahead of time what the agreements are before I sign, I'm now a grown up making a decision. Do I want to do this process with this design firm? And if I don't, there's no hard feelings, because I'm saying no to what I don't want to agree to begin with. It's when, as a client, you hit me with it because you were not feeling comfortable about talking directly from the beginning. Right? You were doing the blurred lines thing. And now you expect that I was supposed to read your mind and know what it really meant. It's like, no, I didn't read your mind.
Exactly, exactly. But I feel like what happens in a lot of instances is a designer they hide behind their agreement. But do they stand behind it? Not necessarily.
Hmm.
That's where that confidence comes in, is to really put yourself first and hold the client accountable. And I know that's hard to do, but that's what we teach. We teach the confidence and the permission to really stand behind what they've already signed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually the key. And it just gets easier and easier, right? Teaching the courage, having the courage to stand firm. And it
Yeah.
just makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So
It, it is, it's a, yeah.
from a technical standpoint, just to leave the question not unanswered, when we say one reselect or two reselects, what are you saying? One or two is included?
I think it depends on the level of designer. I mean, I've been doing this almost 25 years, and so we pretty much nail it at the beginning. Other designers, they may include two or three, or
Okay.
however they
So
see like that it's confidence.
even that's an interesting thing for you to observe
Yeah.
and to notice. It's a good point, well made. So regardless, if the number is one, it's three, whatever it is, the point is it's items. I just want to be clear for our
Yes.
designers listening. It's reselect. So in yours, it might be one item, and then what you're saying is, if you absolutely want me to reselect the sofa and the rug, we're going to reselect the sofa, but the rug, we're going to bill you hourly, and we expect it to be 2 hours in order to reselect that. That's how you roll it out in conversation with the client.
That's how it happens. And typically during a presentation, on some of the major rooms, we'll have like two options. We'll have one plan that has this sofa and these chairs, and another plan. So really, they nail it down to one option during the presentation. So I kind of say, all right, so that's kind of the very first, they make that decision, and then we'll take a bat at one of the other items. Yes. And then
Okay.
another tip that I've just implemented is there's a contingency fee that I add on. So when you're collecting your deposit for the design fee and at the beginning, what I've added is a contingency fee. And it's just, you can do it by a percent, or you can just do a lump of money that you take and hold for all of these items that may fall into an hourly, because we most of the time work on a flat fee. So it's these reselect rounds that fall out of scope. It's price increases. And this is, nobody's given me kickback on it. It's amazing.
Okay.
And if they don't use that, then it goes to the final invoice for receiving and installation and delivery. Game
Well, you
changer.
know what's interesting is, so let me just clarify. So you have the agreement for what the design fees are and what you propose furnishings budget is going to be, and you take your deposits, your payments in full, whatever you do with all of that. But what you're saying is, in addition to all of that, you have a contingency fee, and I'm sure depending on the project, it could be $5,000 or it could be $25,000, right? And you're saying, for example, if you do reselects, we will take it from this pot of money. If we source a chandelier, and by the time we go to place the order, it goes up $300. We're going to take it from this pot of money. And what's cool about this, Trace, and the fact that you're saying you're not getting pushback, this happens to us in other areas of our life. Vin and I were just in Hilton Head for a family wedding. We check in. What happens every single time you check into a hotel now? Like, oh, Miss Nagara, thank you so much for your credit card. I just want to let you know there'll be a room charge of $150 per day, just in case you happen to eat from the minibar. And at the end of your trip, if you don't use all of this, any of this, wait 2 days. Once you're back, then we'll refund this back to your card. And like, we just like both like walk away, and we're like, wait, so 150, 300, 450, so $600 just for funs and giggles here while we're in the hotel, right? Right. And don't think
Exactly.
Vin,
Surprise.
right. And don't think, Vin, we've been back like I guess 4 days. Every day it's like, did it get back on the card yet? Did it get back on the card?
I know, right? It's for those but the thing is, what they're doing, they're making it convenient for them and for you. Well, and so by doing the contingency fee, I don't have to, or my designers don't have to go back to the client and say, hey, we need another, $800 for these two things. Now, we need an extra $1,000 for these. Yep. It just
You're not
makes
nickel
it
and diming
easier.
them. You're not nickel and diming them. And the luxury client can't stand to be. And don't think the next day when we were having breakfast in the hotel, I'm like, well, you may as well put it on the room because we're going to charge $150 today anyway.
It's true. It's sort of, it's kind of a mindset shift, isn't it? And the fact is that they get it back. So what I like to do is put the client in control of everything. They've got their flat fee. They love it.
Yes.
But you have the control. You want renderings, boom. You want additional reflex, boom. You want to upgrade this, great. And if you have money left, we're applying it.
Right.
So I apply this to our new construction, our renovation, and our furnishings project. So
I love it.
It makes really been a great addition.
As consumers, we're conditioned to it. That's my point. We're conditioned to this stuff. It's not like, oh my God.
Builders do it all the time.
Exactly. Okay. And then going back to the clause that you said about the online purchases. So what you're telling your clients up front is, first of all, I'm sure you have tons of conversation about, like, seriously, at this stage, I'm 25 years in business, you're hiring me, but yet you're going to go online and look for a better lamp than I'm going to find you. That's just categorically ridiculous. It's like, that's what you want to do. What are we doing? Right. So I'm sure that's inside voice. I'm sure in outside voice, you have a lot of conversation about, this is what you're hiring us to do. This is our process. This is why you rely on us to do it. But ultimately you're saying, and by the way, if you get a little slap happy at 2:00 in the morning and you want to search online for a different lamp, once you show that lamp to me and you decide to buy it, I will get a commission for that lamp, is what you're saying.
It's basically an exclusivity clause is what it is. And what happened and this is what I do. Things happen in my firm and I'm like, oh my God, like, a glow up moment. It happened again. I got to go teach the designers in my program. And that's exactly what happened, because a client, so we used to give out like individual like tear sheets of all the main items. Now I do not. When they come in for the presentation, they see the renderings. And then on an iPad, I have each different item, a picture of it, so they can see the detail. Because the rendering, sometimes they can't see it, right?
Right.
They do not get that. They do not get that. But this particular client said, I can't make up my mind. I need to see, some of these items in detail. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I sent her the entire, deck of detailed images, then yes, there's potential of her to online shop me, right? And of course, as designers, we can't compete with some of the big boxes, is why we do the most custom. There were only a couple of things in there that she could have shopped. But what we ended up doing was printing out all the tear sheets and putting that clause at the bottom. And it says something like, I have to find it, that, this was sourced by TCI through, our vendors that we have taken years to procure and develop relationships with, and it will be purchased under TCI. And I think I do have like a percentage will go back to the firm. Like it's very clear, but it actually, again, like it holds them to the point where they think twice. I think that's the difference. They think twice about it.
So for clarity, I was thinking the person is looking at a particular item and searching for a different one that they might, but you're talking about the item that you sourced. They're now like running around online saying, oh, you were charging me $8,000. I found it for $7,900. like stop,
that seems
right?
to be the bigger issue these days.
Issue. Okay. All right.
Rather than them just trying to put something in.
Okay. So, and that makes sense. And the truth is in that is an undeniable, it's an undebatable point of fact that you did source it. And maybe you did put the SKU number in the Google Man thing and you came up with it at $1 less, but I sourced it. So I'm still going to make my money on this because you never would have found this without me.
Right. And, what we say back to the client is basically, and I'll tell you this first and then I'll go back, but, we are receiving it. We're dealing with the damages. We're back and forth with the vendor. Like we're in charge of getting it into your home. And sometimes that little upcharge makes the difference, right? On the flip side, if that's something that, they want to do, because again, we can't compete, but the main thing is, and designers are like, when will this stop? How can this, it will continue because it's human nature,
right?
For people to want to get a great deal, even though they could be a wealthy, fantastic client. I know when we were doing our landscape project at the lake house, I'm looking at everything's itemized, and I see these boxwoods, these boxwood, and the bushes were like $150 a piece. What went through my mind? Oh my God, I could go to Home Depot and get those $35. I did it too.
Yeah. But you can't get them planted for $35. You got to drive, you got to rent the truck, drive there, get the blasted things, bring them back.
Right. And so it is human nature. But that's where it comes back to communicating your value, and in my program, The Confidential, and that's why I talk about like you're building your business, you're getting to the next level because you're going through 4 different phases. You're going through a whole framework on understanding your purpose and understanding your value in order to communicate that to the client. That's a big step for designers, and then you go into more precision. That's what I'm talking about here. It's having your non-negotiables, having your systems, your processes, your repeatable items and Asana and your standard operating procedures. So you don't have to think twice, just like what I'm talking about, right? Then we go into more profit. That is what I'm saying is I'm looking at my numbers. I met with my CFO yesterday, and I'm looking, I look at the numbers and I'm seeing the difference, and I'm seeing how it's making a difference. So my eye's always on the money. You got to
Yes.
be.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's analyzing and making decisions based on that. And then we move to, we've done all this in our business, but then how do we get noticed, right? How do we go to that next level of getting published and getting exposure to the point where you're like, kind of like me, okay, I've done it all.
Yeah.
I feel good
Yeah.
about I've done it all,
Yeah.
And then it takes me to the places from where I am now.
Yeah.
Let me teach others how to do it.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
because of my firm and what happens to me on a daily basis. I tweak and then I teach.
Exactly. Exactly. That's, I
Yeah.
mean, it's the best way to do it. And, it's funny because many of us gather the experiences and many of us go through them and we learn from them, but not all of us are able to convert it into a learnable, teachable thing. And it's, Vinny, I've said it often throughout the years, he's an exceptional coach. He's an exceptional coach.
Mm-hmm.
One thing he's at a lot of different things, but one thing is like hitting a baseball. Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
man can break down the swing to the time. It's like, you know what I equate it to? You've done yoga, right? And you can stand there in warrior two. You can
Yeah.
just plop your two arms out and put your leg out and but then the more you do yoga, you're like, oh, but this hip is supposed to be here and the stomach is supposed to be there and the shoulder. Like there is a vast difference from your first warrior two to your 51st warrior two. But it only happens if that yoga instructor can help you tweak it. And that yoga instructor can identify
Right.
what it is that creates a strong warrior two. And you have that ability. You have that
Yeah.
ability to experience it as a business owner, but then to break it down and say, and this is how you can duplicate it. And not everybody has that ability, but you have it. And I love it in you.
Right. Yeah. I guess, a sweet spot. And like I said, it's taking a moment to take a step back and implementing the tools in order to propel you further, and I've always said my sweet spot basically is coaching established designers. It's the designers that, are making 300-ish in revenue and up. It's to the million. Like I want to get you from 300 to a million in revenue. And y'all know that's sales, right? And then taking you from a million to 5 or 3 to 6. Like that's where I feel like my background, even in business, is helping these designers tweak. And it, like you said, it could be just a couple of things, but it's having that outside influence looking in.
That's right.
And just like I said, sometimes I know, well, for a long time, I needed that validation. I needed someone to tell me what to do. And it's not about me telling them what to do. It's opening up other opportunities to explore, for them to decide for themselves.
Yeah, I love
It's
it. I
empowerment.
love it. Yeah, it really is. So just run through the various opportunities and the way to work with you, Trace. So you've mentioned the confidential, you've mentioned the gloss. Just clarify what each of these opportunities are and who they're for and how they get involved in it.
Sure. So it's all based out of Facebook. I know. And it's so funny because a lot of designers are not in Facebook. But the Gloss for Interior Designers is a closed private Facebook group. That's a free community. I'm in there live every single Wednesday teaching. I'm adding things. It's a great space for designers to collaborate. I'm usually in there asking questions. So that's a free community. So that's a great way to get started. Join me over there. I offer a free masterclass, and that's really cool. Again, it's the secrets and strategies that I am teaching for you to catapult into $1 million business. It is amazing. It is free. It is a 5-day, 1-hour masterclass where I'm teaching kind of those pillars that I've just talked about and how to implement them in your business. We have a next launch. It's September 11th, 2023. Super stoked about that. And that's called the reveal, because I'm revealing what I've learned. The next part of our program is the confidential. That's our flagship program. That's deep work for a full year. We have master classes in our vault. We have 52 templates, but really the best part of that is not really the tools and the templates and the courses. I feel like it's more about what you learn kind of in the group sessions online. We've got about 60 designers in that. It's been amazing and gratifying for me and for them. So I'm super proud of that, but that's what we're launching again. We're opening doors, and that masterclass starts the 11th. And then I do have what I call the 7-figure speakeasy. This is a true mastermind for designers who revenue is about $1 million and up. They need more one-on-one. They need more of an experience surrounded by business owners that are in the same boat. We're talking the same language. We're exploring more of alternative business streams and strategies, and sort of like your chairman of the board that you have, Luann, that we get clear and we march toward, really an end goal. So that's truly the mastermind.
That's awesome.
So lots to offer.
I know. I love it. And so the thing about it, just for clarity, the masterclass is free. The next one starts September 11th, 2023. And from that, then you decide if you want to take the next step to go to the confidential, because the confidential only opens after the masterclass. Is that correct? I said the confidential is not a rolling membership, right? Or is it? Like, can I just go straight to the confidential today in August if I want to, or no?
You could 100% go right to the confidential. So my website is jointhegloss.com.
Okay.
And so if you're there, you're going to see it all. You're going to see the reveal. You can sign up. You can join our confidential at any time. And then we have an application process. There's really an application process for both, but the mastermind, there's an application for that, because I truly want to be a bit picky. Because I want everyone to have an experience that is right for them. So I put parameters around all of it, but sure, they can join or apply at any time.
Okay. And then the most entry level to get involved in your world is the Facebook group, and requirements there. Practicing interior designer, aspiring interior designer, what are the requirements to just be in the Gloss? Yeah.
Yep.
So you could be a student, you could be
absolutely. Okay. Because I feel like, where I was at that, aspiring interior designer or just starting, like I was trying to get as much information as I could and find my right community. So absolutely. But it's geared for firm owners starting out, switching careers, established interior designers. Yes.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And before I let you go, I got to say, you're going to be at Luann Live. You're a keynote sponsor at Luann Live. So I definitely, if you're interested, do the masterclass September 11th. But also, if you want to meet this rock star in real life, you have a chance this November 5th through 8th to meet Traci in person in Orlando. So this is out. I love, love, love what you've created. I just think it's amazing. I think that it's such a gift to our community to have someone of your caliber, your experience, your integrity out there. And I love that your line starts with, I want to normalize wealth, right? It's like, we don't need to create a job for ourselves. There's too much responsibility with being an entrepreneur. We need to create a lifestyle, and whatever that is to each of us, but we all know what we would love to have. And I love that you are empowering designers to imagine it and grab it for themselves. So that's awesome, Trace.
Yes. I couldn't put it better myself. Yes, I feel like it's my mission where I am in my life right now, and it just feels right. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have all new members. Yeah, definitely join me on the reveal. Join me in the gloss. I would love to interact with all of you. And
All
Luann
right.
Live is going to be super fun.
That's the truth, right? All righty, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today, Trace. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Luann.
I always enjoy my conversations with Traci, whether it's here on the podcast or on our catch-ups on Voxer. And I have to say, to have the opportunity to learn from Traci, a successful luxury designer who has proven results of running a profitable firm, how can you resist it? This is my question. How can you resist it? Right? And I also have to say, I love, and I do mean love, that Traci believes that all of you can be wealthy. And she doesn't just mean money wealth. For her, she has figured out how to have both financial freedom and personal freedom within that business. She's built the framework and now she's sharing it with you. I also love that she said the main questions that she sees in her gloss community are, how do I get to the next level in my design business? And how can I find that work-life balance? Do these sound familiar? Right? Well, Traci dug deep to answer these questions for herself, and now she's sharing it with you. I also liked that she was talking about those little tweaks, the tweaks that you can do to increase your revenue or to increase your peace of mind or both. And it's fascinating how one change of a word can change so much. Like when she was talking about changing your contract from revision to reselect. I got to tell you, folks, I'm a garden variety human. And that word reselect seemed so much clearer to me than revision. It really did say to me, reselect an item, not wipe the slate clean and give me another version of this room. Important, these little things that she's learned from experience, right? And she's also learned that it's the communication at the beginning with your clients that saves you the time and anguish and makes the project way more efficient, which is how you make more money on the same projects. And I love her one little sentence there. Clear is kind. Clear is kind. Love that sentence. All right. You also need to stand behind what's already signed, both you and your client. This key to understanding that the contract is a real thing gets easier the more you stand in it and the more that you put yourself accountable to it and you hold your clients accountable to it. And Traci has learned this dance. Okay. Now let's talk about the gloss. Traci calls it the gloss because it is the ultimate business resource for all interior designers. Okay, the glossary, right? In it, she includes everything, her shortcuts to growth, her resources, her insider tips, and connections that she has learned along the way. I encourage you to join the gloss, if not only to benefit from all these resources, but also, that closed Facebook group where you can communicate with your peers and get to know this experienced powerhouse of a businesswoman. Right? The next opportunity that Traci offers is the reveal. This is Traci's free, let me repeat it, free masterclass. This is happening on September 11th, 2023. Okay? In the reveal, Traci is literally revealing all of the secrets and shortcuts that she has learned to the interior design industry and the things that she has learned to up-level her firm to the multiple millions. The event is 5 days, 1 hour per day, and she will run through her strategies. This course is free for any designer who wants to reach the next level. I mean, that would be you, right? So you're going to go to jointhegloss.com/the-reveal. And of course, the link will be right in the show notes, okay? You can join Traci's Confidential Anytime, the year-long coaching program. Okay, you don't have to wait till September 11th if you're listening and you're like, I want to do it now. Otherwise, you can go through the reveal for free and really understand firsthand this woman in person. Okay. All right. Now, don't forget to go to jointhegloss.com where you can learn more about The Confidential. You can learn about our 7-figure speakeasy for designers with revenues of $1 million or more. Okay. And the one-on-one and their VIP and all the things that she has. Okay. One more bit of exciting news. Traci is a keynote sponsor of Luann Live, happening this November 5th to 8th in Orlando, Florida. Come to Luann Live and you can meet Traci in person. You can pick her brain. You can ask her about The Confidential, and you can see for yourself why I just adore and admire her so much. Okay. I always say you can spend your time or your money. Successful business owners know that investing in their personal and professional development is not a one-time effort. It's an ongoing commitment that fuels the growth, the adaptability, your leadership, okay? All of these things ultimately contribute to your long-term success and the success and health of your business. All right. Successful people do everything they can to get in the room with other like-minded business owners who intentionally level themselves up and their business. So get your seat in this room with me, Traci, and the rest of the rock stars that I've lined up for you. Okay. Dynamic experts will be covering a range of topics, all specific to the goal of building wealth and health in your business and life. Okay. This year, we're addressing that health aspect because if we are not physically healthy and able to show up as our best selves, I can teach you through these amazing people like Traci all the business advice in the world. But if you can't execute it because you're not strong and capable and as your best self, it's all for nothing. So that's why we're combining it this year. Okay. Tickets are going. There is a limit on the tickets. So get in this room. All right. Go to luannlive.com to register today. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Traci. I love what you have created and the knowledge and the support you provide for your colleagues in the industry. I love how you empower them to have the life they desire. Way to go. Yay, you, Trace. And thank you for joining me today. This is a step in up-leveling your business, isn't it? Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannniagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.